Grand solar flash update for December 4th, 2024. The elite's infrastructure is being dismantled. Will 2025 be the year that we shift? Humans are awakening. The 3D narrative is collapsing. Please stay for the entire video. I've got a bunch of stuff to talk to you about, including a powerful magical trick that will flip your life into the most positive you've ever imagined. Stay tuned for that. As always, question your reality and then change it. We are having another live guided CE5 interdimensional meditation today, Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. We do them every Wednesday and Saturday. Please come. It is literally the single most powerful and most important thing any human can do right now to help Earth shift. If you like the channel, please go support it by going to thunderwizard.com and subscribing. Books can be found at michaelwilliamdenny.com. Also check out the shop. You can support the channel at support.thunderwizard.com, and we have herbs and adaptogens to help your body shift up at herbs.thunderwizard.com. All right. Grand solar flash update for December 4th, 2024. All right, let's just get straight into it. We are in the most volatile time of this solar flash event yet. So in case you're new to the channel, we are in the solar flash event. The solar flash event is not a singular explosion, although that might be the case. That might be the final capstone to all of this. I'm very open to that, but I don't know. But what I have been told directly by higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings when I asked them, what is this shift going to be? And I asked, is it going to be fleets of spaceships coming to Earth and people waking up because they're connecting to higher dimensional beings, which was happening to me at that time. So I thought that's what was going to happen to everybody. And the answer was no. The event is going to be a series of solar waves of love that are going to penetrate the Earth, penetrate all of Earth's matter, and consciousness will shift up as a result of that. So we are in that. That solar flash event officially began on December 21st, 2022. That's when it officially began. So when we started, because that was the day that we got hit with huge amounts of solar energy. If you remember that day, you might have had the same experience as me where I was woken up by something. I thought some higher dimensional being had entered my room, and there wasn't anything there, but I could feel this power, and I realized it was coming from the sun. And I went out and looked at the rising sun, and I could see that everything was changing. I could feel power coming from the sun, and we've been in this solar flash event ever since then. So we're going to just get right into it here. So is 2025 going to be the year that Earth shifts to 5D? So December and January is the most crucial time period. What happened? So it's important to understand what's happening interdimensionally. So the third dimension is, if you're looking at like, those Russian nesting eggs, right? The third dimension is the outside portion. It's the portion that you experience the most. Your perception is aligned to it, but it takes a little while. So something will happen, in the deepest aspects of dimensional awareness, and it takes a while for that to vibrate out to the most dense, which is what we experience as the third dimension, our third dimensional life. So the point is that There are things that are happening in other dimensional arenas right now that are going to completely, totally transform where we are. So hypothetically, if let's say there was some spiritual event in, let's say, the ninth dimension, boom, and that was a guarantee of shifting 3D to 5D, right? We wouldn't feel that immediately. It would take a little time for that energy to make its way through to our perception. All right? So the reason why I'm telling you that is that the shift has already happened in higher dimensions. They are absolutely beside themselves. They are celebrating and partying because they've experienced our shift has happened. But it hasn't reached us yet in this perception. So I'm telling you that because in August, I believe it was August 14th, we did a live guided interdimensional meditation. And again, I hope I got the date right, but it was definitely I believe it was in August. August 14th, we did one of these live meditations, and we are chanting this mantra that was taught to me in June of 2022 by this gentleman right here who explained to me that I am a probability. He taught me this chant. And then later I was told by higher dimensional beings, I was guided towards what my job was, which is to lead these interdimensional meditations and chant these seed sounds, and that they would bring the shift. Now, we did the meditation. It was a powerful meditation, which doesn't in and of itself doesn't mean anything. I have very powerful experiences when we do these live group meditations. And so there was nothing new about that. But that one was particularly powerful. And then as soon as we were done, as soon as I said goodbye to the live stream and I got off YouTube, the light beings showed up and they were absolutely beside themselves, and they were celebrating, and they were saying, "You did it. You did it." I did. What did I do? "You defeated the dark forces. It's over. It's happened. You've won. It's all downhill from here. It's only going to get better." And I'm like, I don't feel it. I don't see it. And they said, "Just wait. Watch what's about to happen." And it was within 24 or 48 hours. I don't know exactly when, but it was almost directly afterwards that our next incoming president had missed having his head turn into a red mist by fractions of an inch, simply because he turned his head. And it hit me. I saw what would have happened if those horrible plans had been successful. It would have ended up creating the worst possible scenario, and we would now be in a 1984 lockdown situation. I guarantee you that's what would have happened as a result of that. And I realized that what they were saying, and I went back and asked them, and they led me to believe that, yes, you group of people who meditated, you averted that event with your intentions, with your meditations. So we haven't seen the full effects of that meditation that was done in August, but we're starting to see what is happening. So this is the most crucial time period right now. All right, so the pandemic narrative is crumbling. It is completely, totally coming down. Go back in time to 2020, 2021. And what was it that the majority of people believed about that? What was it that people believed about this? And now look at now, what do people believe? Remember what you were being told. Remember what Rachel Maddow told you on MSNBC about the effectiveness of certain procedures and what they would accomplish. And now nobody believes that. Not even those who want you to believe it. They can't hold that up. Look at what's happening with everything around. Just compare our mindset now about how we view our government, how we view businesses, how we view the corporate world, how we view Wall Street. Compare how we view that now to 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Everything is completely shifting and changing in terms of our perception and our belief about what is going on. So that narrative is crumbling. Lawsuits against globalist corporate elites are pending. So I'm going to put a link in this video because it's not my job to go into all of that stuff. And I believe that my channel is already shadow banned, so I don't want to make things worse. But look into that. Watch that link. It'll be very enlightening and educational. And that's only part of the story. There are lawsuits against other extremely powerful, wealthy globalists who are responsible for this. And they are being brought into court in, I believe, in Europe. And so there's a new report that came out about all of this, that a governmental report that is potentially setting things up for, perhaps some very influential people during that period might end up going to jail. I don't know, but it's looking very bad for those people. This is something I never thought possible, but this is a result of this shift that we are experiencing and the shift that we, meaning human beings, what we are intending. You are the architect of this shift. There is nothing more powerful than your intentions, especially right now. Right now, where you focus your intentions has infinitely more power than just a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. All right, so the largest inter-party coalition ever has assembled. And this is, again, I've been on this planet a while and I've never seen anything even remotely like this. You have a populist president-elect. I'm saying that because even though he's connected and represents a certain political party, he really doesn't. He was a threat to that. That's why there are never Trumpers. That's why Liz Cheney, people like that are so against him, because he really did. And I didn't know this at the time. I had TDS big time. I didn't see this at the time, but he really does represent a populist movement. And the party on the right that we have in our current system is the one that's most easily aligned with that whole populist sentiment. But that is not the sentiment of the political party that he represents now. You notice I'm choosing my words very carefully because the last thing I want is to be, anyway. So this inter-party coalition is easily the most threatening political movement towards the establishment that has ever existed in my lifetime. In fact, there's never been anything even remotely close. The closest would have been the Kennedy brothers back when I was born. And there's a reason why they got unalived. They did things differently. They actually placated. You don't know this. I've recently come to find this out. But behind the scenes, what the Kennedy brothers were doing is that they were placating the establishment. They knew that the only way to get into power was to convince the corporate elite, the bankers, that they were going to play ball and do what they wanted. So they lied to them. They led them to believe that they were going to do what they wanted, and then when they got into office, they started doing the opposite. And they had plans to do some very big revolutionary things. And I won't get into those details, but that's what got them both unalived. It's also what got Marilyn Monroe and I forget the journalist's name, the woman journalist. Anyway, they all got unalived for that same general reason, but again, that's not something I need to talk about in this channel. I'm going to put a link in the description. Click on that link. I'm going to give you 2 links. I'll tell you about the second one, which will give you a very funny and magical tool to help you shift frequencies. All right, so the people hypnotized by the mainstream media are disillusioned by the lies. And this is something that had to happen. There was no way that this wouldn't happen. It's happening slowly. I know. I had TDS. Now, I'm more open-minded than a lot of people, and I'm not firmly attached to my beliefs, as is evidenced by what I've done my whole life. I mean, I was a very serious, committed, born-again Christian when I was a young adult. And as you know, I mean, once you get locked into that cult mindset, it's very, very difficult to get out. And that was incredibly difficult, but I wanted to know the truth more than I wanted to be part of a club. In fact, I wanted to know the truth more than I wanted God's approval. And when I left that religion, it wasn't just that I had an awakening and I realized the religion was wrong. I still believed it. I still believed that the religion was true. I came to the realization that God that I was worshiping was an evil God, and I wanted nothing to do with it. And if that meant that I would end up going to hell for the rest of eternity, then so be it. But I wanted to be able to look myself in the mirror. It wasn't until after I did that I deprogrammed from it and realized, of course, that was an absolutely ridiculous religion. But that's how I've lived my life. I want to know the truth more than I want to be comfortable, more than I want to be accepted. And I recommend everybody do that. Want to know the truth. Don't be attached to your beliefs. Don't be attached to your emotional attachments. That's the hardest thing to do. Be willing to let go of the things that you think keep you safe and keep you approved, and be willing to let go of all of those things, because at some point you will have to let go of them. All right, so people hypnotized by the mainstream media are disillusioned by the lies, which means that they're waking up. The anger that they have. Right now we've got George Clooney. It's ridiculous. George Clooney is being blamed for Trump getting elected, which is absolutely ridiculous. The whole idea that celebrities, whenever I hear that, whenever I see a celebrity, you're an actor or a musician and you're giving your opinion on politics, my first response is, why don't you talk about something Your job is to entertain me by pretending to be someone else, or to make happy sounds come out of your mouth or your instrument. Who told you that just because you're rich and that you're popular, that somehow your opinions about politics have any weight? It would be like, a tennis pro talking about, the physics. Just because you're good at sports doesn't mean you have any idea what's going on in that realm. Just because you're an actor. I know I used to be an actor, and actors are good at some things. They're good at reading, and they're good at memorizing, and they're good at, acting out what they just read on a piece of paper. That's what they're good at. And that's their job. To be giving out opinions on politics as though that carries some weight. And that was what was most ridiculous to me. I mean, Beyonce getting paid, was it $10 million? Oprah getting paid $1 million? None of them have the qualifications to even know what the hell happens. If you tried to ask them, about the separate aspects of government. Can you tell me the difference between the judicial? I can't even say it. The judicial, the executive, and the whatever branch. I mean, I can't. I don't even remember the three branches. Are you? Do you think they would be able to even pass a basic civics test? No, they don't have any clue. They only, they're part of that. And it became really clear to me in this election that the election really was about people who have privileged economics, and they have power, and they have celebrity, and they have status against everybody else. And what was amazing to them is that people didn't simply believe them anymore. People, aren't willing to just accept whatever they're told because you have power and you have celebrity and you have money and you have influence and all of that. That's not enough. That was enough. I know. I was alive when that was enough. It was enough because you heard it on the news. You would literally say, "Oh yeah," Walter Cronkite said, because it was said on the news, you believed it. Because it was in newspapers, you believed it. Because the White House press secretary said it, you believed it. Because why wouldn't you? They're the ones that have all the power. They're the ones that know. And we believed whatever we were told. And that just doesn't work anymore. I mean, this is why they're working so hard to censor social media. And they're not even trying to hide it. They're outright saying, the politicians and celebrities are giving speeches at the World Economic Forum talking about how we need to censor information, that people have to get the approved version of events, which is nothing short of 1984. All right. So people hypnotized by MSM are disillusioned by the lies, and what I'm talking about is not the people who have already, put on the tinfoil hats. I'm talking about people who were deeply into this, are starting to realize that they've been lied to. At the very least, they were lied to about the polls of what was going to happen in the election, and they're realizing that they can't trust the people they've been trusting this whole time. So this is going to be interesting to watch that unfold. Interdimensional meditation is more important now than ever before, and that's piggybacking on what I was saying earlier, in that your intention about everything is the most powerful that it has ever been. If you focus on your intention about what you want to have happen in this world, you have far more power of achieving that than ever before. There's a caveat to it, and that is your intentions need to be aligned with spiritual truth and your soul. So this is why I've always taught you, as long as I've been on, had this channel, almost as long as I've been on this channel, I have been telling you that the most spiritual thing you can do is focus on what gives you joy. Not what distracts you, not what makes you feel safe, definitely not. Not what makes you accepted by other people, accepted by the status quo. What gives you the greatest spiritual power is to focus on what gives you personally and selfishly unabashed bliss and joy. And you don't ever have to worry about doing what you want versus what other people want, or doing what's good for you versus what's good for others, because when you're doing what is good for your soul, by definition, you are doing what is good for everybody's soul. Now, they may not like it because they might be attached to wanting to be loved and accepted by the narrative. And if you go contrary to that, that's going to threaten them. But it doesn't change the fact that, their greatest joy, happiness, and health is going to be doing what you're doing. So you never have to worry about that. Okay, what got me on that subject? Interdimensional meditation is more important now than ever. So while I'm on the subject, I recommend everybody come to these live guided interdimensional meditations. Now, I'm going to say something that is going to sound completely, totally grandiose, fantastical, narcissistic, and unbelievable. And you have every right to have that feeling. I believe it is the truth, and because of my experiences, combined with what light beings have told me. Remember, light beings are in higher dimensions, so they're seeing what has really happened, which hasn't, filtered down to our dense level of reality yet. So when they told me on August 14th, after our meditation, that you won, you beat them, you destroyed the dark forces, it's all downhill from here, everything's going to get better. And I said, I don't see that, I don't feel that. They said, watch what's going to happen. And look at where we are. Look at how things have changed since August. Look at how much less power the mainstream has. Look at how much less power the narrative has. The narrative is crumbling. And that just a few months ago, that wasn't the case. There was a lot of resistance to it, but it was entrenched and it had power. And there was very real threat of censorship, massive censorship that was right around the corner. And now that's falling apart. All of the things that they were doing are falling apart. And again, it's not my job to get into that. You can do your own research. All right, so interdimensional meditation is more important now than ever before. It is easier now, more than ever, to shift frequencies to 5D. So I'm using 5D as a term. I don't mean it literally, because the fifth dimension is a whole other deal. But in terms of frequencies, shifting up to what people are calling 5D, and I'm not even sure what that is. Excuse me, I'm drinking my ancient mushroom elixir soda here. So I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, something about it's easy more than now to shift frequencies to 5D. So 5D is that higher frequency. So I'm gonna, just a while back, let's go back 5 years. Bring yourself back 5 years. 5 years ago, you could still shift frequencies. That wasn't impossible. In fact, if we go back even 1,000 years, there were human beings who would have to go and hide in mountain caves and meditate for their entire life. And when they got to a certain level of energetic frequency, they could shift out of this reality. There are, in my Taoist practice, there's all kinds of, legends of the masters who would in fact, the Maoshan masters, apparently what they would do is after they got to a level of energy doing their practices, many of the ones that I teach, and they got to a certain level and their energy had come to a certain frequency, they would take some kind of an herbal pill, and I don't know what that did, but it was an herbal pill that they would take, and then they would have themselves buried, literally in a coffin, buried underground. And I don't know how long they'd stay in there, something like 40 days or something like that. And then they would dig up the coffin and open it up, and the person would be gone. If they opened it up and the body was still in there, they would see that had desiccated, but that the heart was still beating and something was going on. And so what was happening is that person was shifting their entire physical frequency to another frequency. And if they dug up the coffin and the person was gone, it meant that they had shifted. And sure enough, they could do things like walk into the room from, the ceiling or whatever. And then you hear all these stories of these masters who can be in multiple places at once and walk through walls and all of that. And the bottom line is that it's a scientific thing. It's about physics. It's just about shifting your frequency. Well, your frequency is most most strongly attached to your focus, the focus of your intention. And that's what locks you into a frequency. And so right now we are at the stage in the Solar Flash series event that we are pretty much right next to it, and we can choose. There's, if you want to look at it this way, we are our timeline and the 5D timeline are right next to each other. They're not separated. They're right next to each other now. And so you can literally just change lanes, and you can change back. And the way that you change lanes is you focus on higher dimensional frequencies. Love, happiness, joy. This is a big one. Trust. Trusting in the universe. Trusting in your version of God. Trusting in the frequency. Trusting in your own soul. And again, trust is something that doesn't come easy. It's something that a lot of people don't even understand. People say you have to earn my trust. Well, if somebody's earned your trust, it means that you just know for a fact, they're going to do what you want. That's not trust. Trust is when you choose to make yourself vulnerable and entrust yourself to another person, not knowing what they're going to do. That's why people are afraid to fall in love. That's why people are afraid to commit, because you don't know what the other person's going to do. So entrusting yourself to your soul, to the 5D frequency, means you have to be willing to do it even when you're afraid. What people want is they want to be given something that will take their fear away, so they go, oh yeah, I'll do that. And that's not how this works. The shift from 3D to 5D is going to take risk on your part and trust. So you must be willing to do that. Having said that, I'm going to teach you an incredibly funny, magical technique, and I put a link below on how you can do that. And I've got here, do the opposite of your 3D instincts. So I'll give you an example. Well, everything I've been doing has been an example of that. Listen, I'm just as human as the next person. I have the same tendencies towards wanting to trust in money and reputation, and I have the same fears everybody else does, especially now with this so-called housing crisis. Again, watch the first link. All that stuff, puts fear into me. So I take action opposite of my 3D instincts. I've been doing it a lot, but I'm doing it even more than I ever have. And one of the things that I've just recently done is, as you know, for the longest time, I have always given channelers a bad time. And I've talked smack about, channeling. So what have I done? Some of my recent videos, what am I doing? I am channeling. It's not because I'm somebody who thinks that this is a great idea. I'm not somebody who thinks I don't even like the idea of being associated with it. My ego doesn't like it. I don't want that to be part of my reputation in terms of my 3D instinct. But, I'm already so far off the deep end of, normal, my tinfoil hat is firmly, just lodged into my skull at this point. There's really nothing left for me to lose. So it's literally an exercise against my ego, against my 3D instincts. And if you saw the most recent channeling I did with the Andromedans, who according to light beings, I have a very strong connection to the Andromedan galaxy. You saw how emotional it was for me, and that's not easy. Tough guys like me don't do that in public. So I'm saying that to let you know that I know what it's like, and I want to be an example of somebody just like you. As they say, you see Buddha on the side of the road, kill him, right? That's a Buddhist saying. And the reason that's such a profound saying is because what do Buddhists do? They're worshiping the Buddha. They want to be him. He is their ideal that they're trying to find within themselves. So if you were to physically see the man who was Buddha and you physically saw him, you would get distracted, you would lose your focus on yourself, and you would bow down in front of him, which would be the worst thing that would happen to you. It would take you off of your path. And, it's like they say, don't ever meet your heroes. I've met a few of my heroes and I was disappointed, in some cases, just horrifically disillusioned. So you have to be your own hero. So you have to take those actions. If you have an idea of, what would the perfect person do in this situation, and you think, yeah, they can do it, I can't, you make the decision, well, I'm going to do it. When I first went to my Mao Shan spirit fighting martial arts class, the first time that I went, the guy that was teaching was a short Japanese guy. I could have picked him up. He was that small. I could have picked him up and tossed him. At the time I was lifting a lot of weights and I was strong. But when I saw what he was able to do and I traded hands with him, actually when he demonstrated on me, I realized that there was literally nothing I could do to defend myself. If this guy wanted to take me out, there was literally nothing I could do. And then it's like, wow, I want to learn what he has. And I was so not the type, but I said, if he can do it, I can do it. Now, not everybody has that first reaction, but I encourage you to act as though you do. You see somebody doing something, you want what they have, and your soul tells you that's what you want, then you say, if that person can do it, I can do it. And then you start working towards it. Act against your 3D instinct. So I put a link in the description, which is one of the funniest, series of scenes from Seinfeld, and it's when George does the opposite. And my favorite part in it is in the very beginning, and he's complaining about his life, has never gone right, and he's decided that he's going to do the opposite of what he's ever done. Because what he's done, he's tried to do everything the right way and nothing's worked out. So what has he got to lose? He's going to do the exact opposite. And there's a woman in the diner, and she looks at him, and Elaine says, that woman's checking you out. You should go talk to her. And he says, no, I'm not going to talk to her. And then they go, what are you doing? You're supposed to do the opposite. He goes, you're right. I'm going to go over and talk to her. He goes over, and I won't ruin it, but he, in terms of his ego, he does the exact opposite of what his ego wants him to do. And, and by the way, I laugh at that because I've had experiences like that, where you say the thing that is the truth, and you're being honest and transparent and vulnerable, and it makes you look the least desirable. And there's something about that is very attractive to people. And it's attractive to the universe. So anyway, I won't ruin it. You can watch that link. But that's a powerful technique. And try it. Try it for half a day. Just do the exact opposite. I try and do that every single day. I try to do the exact opposite of what my 3D lower frequency instincts tell me to do. And I'm still learning and I'm getting better at it, but I can tell you from personal experience, it's the single most powerful thing I have. And in terms of shifting to the different timelines, if you will, one of the things I do, which I teach, I do it in, I'm sure I'll do it today in the meditation tonight, but in the live guided meditations that we do every Wednesday and Saturday night, or here on the East Coast tonight anyway, every time that we do that, I will ask you to ask your light being friend that you're communicating with. I guide you into how to connect with them, and ask them to tell you who you really are. And very likely they will say something that will be very grandiose and fantastical and amazing and wonderful. And the reason I want you to do that, and then I tell you to do something else. I tell you to repeat back to them what they've said. That's important because it's one thing to hear it, but you have to accept it. And when you repeat back verbally or mentally, then your psyche accepts that truth, even though it's completely unbelievable, and it becomes true for you. And so in 3D life, I come back out of these meditations and I wake up the next day and I'm as human as anybody else. I have all the same fears and doubts and, all that same, I'm no good kind of garbage. And what I do to combat that is I will repeat something that has been told to me. So one of the most recent ones is I asked in the meditation, I said, tell me who you see me as. And the being said something like, I can't remember the exact words right now, but something like, you are the source of all inspiration, and we are all inspired by you, meaning all of the light beings. And so I repeated that. I've done that before where, my head is telling me, horrible things about, what's coming and my future and, financial blah, blah, blah. And I will repeat back what was told to me. I am the light of inspiration. And that will connect me to an energy, and then it shifts me to that other 5D timeline. So keep doing that. Very simply, again, the technique is do the exact opposite. This, by the way, is key to overcoming addictions. This is the single most powerful tool that anybody can use, alcoholics, drug addicts, sex addicts, whatever it is. It's the single most important tool. And, when people are in that state where their life is on the line, they're willing to do whatever it takes. So they do the exact opposite. And it's called, the phrase just jumped out of my head. I can't believe the phrase just jumped out of my head. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Anyway, it'll come back to me, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll scream it out at the top of my lungs. Oh my God. Anyway, but what it means to do the most difficult thing that is the exact opposite of your fear-based instincts. And that is one of the things that I try to live my life by. And it has been the single most powerful transformative tool psychologically, mentally, physically, as well as prosperity-wise and spiritually. Anyway, it's bothering me that I can't remember. Anyway, but I'm going to do the opposite and I'm just going to let it go. All right, so that's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. Please show up later for these live guided interdimensional meditations. And if you want to support the channel, you can go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. Now, a lot of people subscribe for free, which is great because I think there's some things that you might get access to. But what really helps the channel is when you subscribe at one of the levels where you get something in return, because that regular monthly subscription is what keeps me, with a roof over my head and food in my refrigerator. So I encourage you to go and subscribe. If you want to read my books, you can go to michaelwilliamdenny.com and you can see my books, the two most recent books, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth and Interdimensional Revolution. Those will tell you a lot about what is coming. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can go to support.thunderwizard.com. You can watch the video there, and I will give you amazing gifts in response to your support, which will actually save you money if you are looking to get some of the other things. Now, I know this is a very difficult time of year. We're heading into Christmas, so the last thing anybody wants to do is come out of pocket. This is the worst time of year for me, always has been financially. Because of that, people back off. It's also challenging because I believe that my channel is shadow banned, which means that imagine where I'd be if I had the same amount of traffic that some of the ridiculous New Age people out there get. Imagine if instead of 500 people watching one of my videos, imagine if I got 10,000 views or 20,000 views per video. I would never have to come on here and promote the channel and promote and support it. So those of you who are subscribed, I'm very grateful to you. And if you're looking for a way to support the channel, there's all these different ways. And finally, we've got the herbs.thunderwizard.com, mushroom, herbs, adaptogens, vitamins. If I had just one to pick, I would pick the fermented mushroom blend. I just took that earlier today. Now, there's only been a few people who have ordered, and I have to let you know, first let me apologize to you. I made a mistake when I was setting up my store and all of that. And so if you haven't gotten your herbs yet, I fixed the problem and they are being sent out to you. And so that problem won't happen again if you're one of those people that, you're waiting around. Where the heck are my herbs? They're coming. So my apologies for that. I fixed the problem. I didn't know I pressed that button. I set the thing up automatically. I didn't know. Anyway, that's not an excuse, but that's what happened. In any case, that's all fixed. All right, that's it. I'll see you guys later at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time today. And if you can't make it live, or if you're watching this after, you can go to the live section on the channel and you can watch all of the ones that have been uploaded. So I look forward to seeing you later. Thank you so much. I love you all. I appreciate you all so much, especially those of you who are doing the practices and you're doing this live guided meditation. You have no idea, and I'm saying that on behalf of all the light beings and even the gods themselves. I'm telling you that you have no idea the impact of what you're doing. It is literally the most important thing in the multiverse right now, these meditations. All right, I love you all. I'll see you all very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves.